up in a small town where tractors roamed the streets and everybody knew each other, but nobody acknowledged acquaintances. The thing that united us wasn't our farms or our restaurants or even our high school football team. It was a bridge. Which is quite metaphorical now that I think about it. The reason this bridge united us was because before I was even born, this bridge has been graffitied over and over and over again with the word Bee Gees. We call this bridge the Bee Gees Bridge. Every time the word Bee Gees is painted over with something lame like a prom request, we all know that prom request is going to be painted over with the word Bee Gees in the near future. Nobody in town even listens to the Bee Gees, as far as I know. But when this bridge doesn't say Bee Gees, everyone's upset. When this bridge does say Bee Gees, everyone's happy.
I grew up in a small rural village on the outskirts of London in Essex, and every year we used to have a harvest festival, which was a throwback to when we were actually like an agricultural community. And the culmination of this harvest festival was the renowned Donkey Derby, which was very similar to a day out at the horse races, but instead of horses we had donkeys, and instead of professional jockeys we had prepubescent children riding the donkeys. This one time I was probably around 11 or 12, I remember it was the last year that I was actually allowed to take part in the Donkey Derby. Now I was quite a chubby child and not very good at sport yet, so I was not renowned as being the best donkey derbier in the village. But this particular year, my last year to actually make an impression, I was given the star donkey. His name was Sooty, and in the semi-finals, the second to last race, we were strapped onto our donkeys. I had Sooty between my legs and somebody slapped his ass, and we went like the wind, blew past everybody else, and it was clear victory. And going into the final, I considered myself the favourite, and I somehow managed to convince myself that the reason that I had won that semi-final was all because of me, and not because of the donkey that I had been riding. So we got to the final, and despite begging to have Sooty as my donkey again, I was given Matilda, and I remember being strapped onto Matilda in the run-up to the race and thinking, this donkey's not as trim as Sooty was. This might be difficult. And sure enough, at the beginning of the race, when somebody slapped Matilda's ass, she kind of waddled forward a little bit, turned to the left, started eating grass, and then kind of tipped me off and I fell on the ground.
So I live in a really rural part of Ireland. The kind of rural that if you want to get to a shop, you have to walk an hour and a half. It's the kind of rural that when anything ever gets big or anyone does anything here, we all band together and support it. So when a local man, let's call him Steve, grew a vineyard in his back garden and started making and selling wine, the whole community banded together and bought that wine. It wasn't the best tasting wine, but that didn't matter because it was local. Well, suddenly, almost overnight, Steve got huge demand for his wine. It wasn't just a community-based business anymore, it started getting interest nationwide. There was being huge newspaper reports done on his vineyard. It was featured on the telly. And Steve soon got so much demand for his wine that he could not supply this anymore. Keep in mind that Ireland is a place that never gets over 30 degrees Celsius, so really no one should be able to grow grapes. So Steve is getting so much demand for his wine and he doesn't have enough grapes to make the wine for all the demand. So Steve does what any logical person in that situation would do. He began filling up the wine bottles with half wine, half antifreeze. Antifreeze as in when your car freezes over in the winter and you spray that on to get rid of the ice. And Steve never got in trouble for it. Oh, Ireland.
In my childhood, I was never really an outside person. I mostly sat indoors and watched like probably an unhealthy amount of TV. But I remember when this park was built back in 2000, because that was the year that Pokemon Gold and Silver had come out. I was 8, my brother was 4, we had a Razor scooter, the both of us, just one Razor scooter, so like normal siblings, we fought over it, and we were fighting over it in the middle of the park, just pushing and shoving each other off of it. This woman comes up to us and she starts scolding us for fighting in the park, and she asks us where our mother is, and I point over here to where I'm sitting right now at this bench. And she goes and grabs my brother's arm, and I'm like maybe like a foot away from her, and we walk in this direction. And she goes and tells my mom, like, you know that your kids were fighting in the park and doing all this stuff? The lady goes away, and then my mom just looks at my brother for a second. She's like, how could you let a stranger hold your arm like that? Look at your brother. He knows that it's not smart to let a stranger do that to them. And then my response to her is like, of course I'm not gonna let her hold my arm. She's black. That's perhaps one of the most shameful memories that I have of my childhood. But I keep it to serve as a reminder for how easily children can like absorb racism.
Welcome to the Leslie Needs a New Tripod edition of One Time. This episode of One Time was entirely created out of open call entries, so thank you to everyone that submitted an open call entry. There were over 40 of you, which is ridiculous. If you're a supporter of One Time on Patreon, please check out the page within the next couple of days. I'm gonna put up a video just for you guys that features a couple more of our One Time open call entries. Thanks for watching and see you next time.